Daniel Dubois is still alive, dog. Let's talk about it.
Push the weight enough flex. Flex alive is 1 in the 6. Fit the runner, boy, you nigga, no question. You will run a motherfucker high stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm a 88 pack nigga, boof. I'm a 88 pack nigga, boof. I mean, day walker, drink blood, trains out, full moon, motherfucker change like a hoe, nigga. I'm just a nigga from the hood trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
Drew Titan, Bronx on deck. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. I wanted to take a minute to talk about this young man. Dynamite Daniel Dubois. I paid close attention to his path, as you know, some would call it. It's very similar to like to Errol Spence. And let me explain. When you first heard of Errol, when I first heard of Errol, I didn't hear the name. I just heard of some guy that beat up Floyd in sparring and got put out the gym. All right, didn't hear the name at first. I just heard about the situation. So when you hear things like that, you're like, "Is this true? Is this true?" Some people say yes. Some people say no. I was there. It happened. And then you heard the name, and then you see the kid, and you're like, it's very basic, you know. This is the guy that did it, and then you start seeing his body of work. You're like, oh, kind of makes sense. And he didn't grandstand on it or whatever. He didn't say much until he finally was cornered. He said, "Yeah, you know, we did, you know, spar, and I got the better of him." He didn't use that to catapult his career. So I said, "Oh, you know, I appreciate that about the young man, you know." And that was how we got to know Errol Spence. Daniel Dubois is very similar. You start hearing legends of this Brawlick brother from the UK, and then you hear that he did what some would say the unthinkable, or they didn't believe it, or he stretched out the mighty Anthony Joshua. You know, I'm like, well, it's sparring, things happen. And then I saw an interview where, you know, he finally got cornered, and they said, well, you know, they said you like knocked out or knocked down AJ and sparring. He said, yeah, it's true. And he didn't grandstand on it and use it to try and catapult his career. And I appreciate things like that. Errol didn't do it. He didn't want that to be the benchmark of his career. And Daniel Dubois didn't do it. He wanted to develop and be his own person. And I watched him, and Daniel Dubois is what you call a specimen. Okay, Daniel Dubois is a specimen. What do I mean by that? Well, he's 6'5", so he has height on him. All right, he comes in. I forgot what he weighed last fight, but he's an easy 230. You know, he's menacing looking. Nice. He's a nice guy. He's a nice kid. I can tell he has a nice heart. And I was paying attention to him, and I said, man, this guy has pretty good feet. He looks very strong, very skilled. And you know, this guy could be an absolute menace if he keeps this up. And in 2020, while we were still recovering from COVID and we was fighting in the bubble, he fights Joe Joyce. I was amped for that fight. I sat down, and the general idea was Dubois was gonna use his feet, you know, outwork Joe Joyce, because you know he's like not the fastest of fighters. He's very robotic, and I thought that he would beat Joe Joyce. Well, Joe Joyce said, "Well, hold my beer. I have other plans." And I saw Daniel Dubois not have a plan B after, you know, he got caught clean, and Joe Joyce's timing was something I really didn't know he had. And Dubois looked confused. You know, his eye was just out his head, and he took a knee, and you found out he had a fractured eye socket. But what I didn't appreciate how the fans treated him. When I say the fans, I'm talking about the UK fans, man. They pretty much said he was done after that. They're like, if he can't beat Joe Joyce, he's done. And oh my God, you know, this is, I'm like, whoa. Let's see how he behaves after this. If he has the same outing in his next opponent, I don't give a damn if it's a top guy or not. We'll know what kind of person he is. You see, failing, there's two roads after that. You can fail and go on a road where it's like you never learn. You don't learn from the mistakes, or you can learn from the mistakes and move forward. It's called failing forward. So after that, he had I forgot who he fought in between. He came back in 2021, and he had a fight in the UK. Forgive me, I don't remember the gentleman's name. And then he fought in America. I think he may have fought in, I want to say, Ohio, Cleveland somewhere. And it was one of them was a KO, one was a TKO. I remember that. And then he fought Trevor Bryan, who's an American fighter. He fought him, I think, in Florida somewhere. And he knocked out Trevor Bryan. And then he fought another person in forgive me, I forget these guys' names. He fought somebody else in the UK, and he got a TKO there. So what we're seeing is that he got back on the win streak, and they want to see what they're working with. And I watched those fights, and I said, okay, he's getting his confidence back, and he's putting in work. Then he lands the Usyk fight, and he lost by knockout. In my opinion, that was a missed opportunity. Not on his end, because a lot of people say, look, man, he won with a body shot. He did. He knocked the hell out of Usyk. And Usyk, whether he would have been down for the 10 count, if they ruled it a clean body shot, I don't know. But Usyk did play it up, and he laid there. There was something there that he didn't like. And I do believe that the fight, I believe it was in Poland. And that's at the height of the Ukraine-Russia situation. And I think Daniel Dubois was mentally drained for other reasons beyond boxing. I honestly believe that. I believe that in his heart, he felt, hey, man, if I beat this guy, there's a chance I might not make it out the stadium, man. You know what? Let me just, chalk this up to I'm going to let him have it. And God willing, we'll see each other again down the line. And by the way, that's a fight I'd like to see again. Usyk versus Dubois. And I'd like to see it in the Middle East. I'd like to see it in Saudi, and I'm going to tell you why. We get to his last two fights after the Usyk fight. Now, he lost that fight, right? I think Dubois quit for other reasons, not because he doesn't have heart. And here's what I'm saying, because everyone was questioning his heart after the Joyce fight. Then they questioned his heart after the Usyk fight, which led up to the Jarrell Miller fight. And they said, man, this kid's going to quit again. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I made my jokes about it and everything else, but I said, you know what, realistically, I don't think so. I see something in Daniel Dubois, and I don't think I'm wrong. And I think that some people, they threw the baby out with the bathwater a little too early on him. And I think it was unfair. The Jarrell Miller fight, he really showed me something. Because everyone thought he was going to quit. They thought Miller was going to put pressure on him and everything else. And he tried. And Daniel Dubois got in there and he boxed and he hit him. And his superior cardio, it took effect later in that fight. Jarrell Miller's body betrayed him. He's 300 pounds. He's a big guy himself. And he betrayed him in the championship rounds. And Dubois got in there and he stopped Jarrell Miller. Won by TKO. And I said, man, this kid is a warrior. Now, a lot of people weren't convinced because now they went there and they said, well, Jarrell, he's not on his PEDs. So, of course, he got tied down the stretch. But if Dubois fights a top tier guy, you're going to see the Joe Joyce thing happen all over again. Enter the Philip Hrgović fight. And, of course, Hrgović, he was undefeated. I think he was 16-17-0. And to be honest, I was really never impressed with Hrgović. I was just watching. I never had like a strong opinion about him, like a negative one. I just wasn't impressed by him. And I just thought Daniel Dubois was a better fighter. So I said, you know what? I'm picking Dubois for the win. And everyone they have this stigma on Daniel Dubois that he's some sort of quitter. He's not. Okay. When he stopped, when Joe Joyce stopped him, he legitimately had a fractured eye socket. And it's easy for a fan to say, well, he should have kept going. Nah, you don't know how that thing feels. And sometimes, you know, if he kept going and Joe Joyce kept hitting him in the eye, the bone could cut his cornea. He could have ended his career right there. So sometimes you have to live to fight another day. So I get it. The Usyk fight, I really think there was politics behind that. And I think that he was thinking safety first. Like, if I actually get at this guy, I might not make it out the damn country. So I think there was that going on. They brought him there to lose. So he just said, you know what, let me just get out of here with this. This thing with Jarrell Miller, that was Daniel Dubois, man. And the Philip Hrgovic fight, all I'm saying is, if you still don't have faith in Daniel Dubois, that is your opinion. But I think he's earned his chance, and he's a live dog in here. I thought he was going to try and box Hrgovic. He went straight at him and mixed it up with him. He ate some punches, and he gave 0 Fs. He mixed it up with him, and he out-hustled him. He cut this man, and I think the cut was off a headbutt or whatever, but, man, this is boxing. You gotta get up getting down, man. And he hustled him down the stretch, and the doctor said, no more, we can't do it. Now, if Philip wants to run it back, of course he should want to run it back, and he run it back. But Daniel Dubois showed you, not told you, he showed you who he was. And he's legitimate. I want to see more from him. As far as opponents, I think he's a top-tier guy. The landscape has shifted. And Daniel Dubois is a live dog. And do not be surprised if he ends up, if the belts, for whatever reason, because this is a business, you know, undisputed is one thing, but, you know, if some sanctioning body decides to remove a belt off of Usyk's waist, you know, after I firmly believe he beats Tyson Fury worse in the rematch, but we'll see. It's boxing. Don't be surprised if Daniel Dubois ends up with a belt. In fact, I would love that Usyk rematch again in Ryder. I think Daniel Dubois will get up for that fight, and I'll pick him for the win. I will. I'll pick him for the win. Because he's shown that he knows how to fail forward. And I like seeing that in fighters, man. But, and again, it's boxing. I could be wrong. If you have a different opinion, that's cool. Let me know about it. Bronx on deck.
Move!